back to the life of T and M. Thank you so much for coming back and watching another one of my videos. If you're new here, hi, my name is Mary and I make videos all about nursing. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna have it pop up right up here above my head, or there's a red button down below if you can go ahead and subscribe and join the journey. For all my new subscribers, thank you so much for joining. I have playlists as well on my channel where you can see more videos about public health nursing, hospice, nursing interviews, and I also have a playlist for all of our vacation vlogs. We will actually be going on vacation in a week and a half. We're going on another cruise, so we're so excited to vlog that for you guys because I feel like our vacation cruise videos do really, really well. So we're gonna take you along on that vacation. That's gonna be so fun. So just be on the lookout for those videos. So you probably clicked this video because you have an orientation coming up. So I just want to say congratulations. I'm so excited for you. It's gonna be okay. You may have never been to an orientation. This is your first job, or maybe you've been to plenty. This is just a basic, very on the surface tips of what you should bring with you to your orientation so that you feel prepared. And maybe you may have all these things and you're like, oh, that was a good idea, but I did forget that, so I'm gonna bring it. So I hope you guys learned something. So if you have other tips and tricks that people should bring to their orientation that you've done in the past, put them down in the comments because we can all learn from each other, right? So let's get right into the video. So in today's video, I'm gonna be talking about orientation. Specifically hospice orientation, because I feel like recently I've gone through those orientations. It's more fresh in my memory, but I feel like a lot of these tips that I'm going to give you about orientation, but you can apply it to any nursing orientation you're gonna be attending. So I've been getting a lot of questions about hospice orientation. How long is it? How do you prepare for it? What do you bring to the orientation? Is it long enough? What if I feel like I didn't get a good orientation? Tons of DMs and comments, so thank you so much for asking me the questions, because then I love coming back with an in-depth video to help answer your questions. So my first tip is to have the address and look up the location at least a day before your orientation, so you know where you're going, you know what time to leave the morning of, and you're more prepared so that you can see if there's any detours or alternate routes you maybe need to take. You also want to give yourself extra time to get to your orientation. Unfortunately, you know, there could be accidents, the weather could be bad, you may run into roadblocks you didn't know about. There's just so many different things that can happen. So if you get there early, you can sit in your car, have a snack, have some water, and just try to relax and orient yourself to the location. Always have the contact person's name and number of who you're going to be meeting with, because the morning of, you may have questions. You may get to the building and it may be a suite. So when you go into a building, you still have to go maybe to a second floor, a third floor, or maybe you just have general questions of, I'm here to check in and they won't let me in. Whatever the case may be, there's so many variables, but having that contact person's name and number will really be helpful in the event you have any issues getting to the location. You definitely want to take a light snack and water with you. I don't know what time your orientation may be. It may be morning, afternoon, or later in the day. So definitely, you know, eat your breakfast, your lunch, or whatever before you go. But I think it's always good to have a snack and some water, because where you're going, they may not offer that. There are some orientations I've been to and they have a huge layout of all this food and water and help yourself. And I've been to some where that's not the case at all. So it's always good just to bring like a protein bar or some kind of snack with you with some water, just to get you by, because it's gonna be a lot of information. You will have breaks to use the restroom, but maybe not enough time to run and grab something to eat and get some water in between your break. So I always suggest bringing something light. Next, hopefully you got a list of what paperwork and documents you need to bring with you to the orientation. So make sure you have those. Usually for the first day of orientation, they go over all of the HR paperwork and you have to fill out tax information, and they need your ID or your social security card, or they need your car insurance, right? Or they just need copies of things that you maybe submitted when you applied. So just make sure you reread the email, and if they didn't tell you to bring anything, I would definitely reach out a day or two before and ask the recruiter or whoever you spoke to, what is gonna be required of me to bring in. Next is to make sure you bring your own pen and notebook Or if you're more techie, you can bring your iPad. However you take notes, I definitely recommend that you bring something, because you may have questions while you're there that can't be answered in the middle, but maybe answered later on in the day. So just definitely make sure you are taking notes throughout the day if you have any questions that arise. And a pen is always important. Yes, they may provide you one, but in the event they don't, you have a pen ready to sign all the documents that you're gonna be getting. If everything's electronic, you don't need to worry about it, but I always say I like to be more safe than sorry. So that's why I always bring a pen, just to be sure. So next, I would also come with a list of questions that you thought about after you accepted the position. I'm sure maybe during your interview or when the recruiter called you to see if you wanted to accept it or not, that you had questions that you asked them. But when you take that call, you are like excited, you're kind of nervous, and you don't really have all your thoughts together. And so after you hang up that call, you're like, oh wait, I didn't ask, do they cover mileage? Or am I gonna have to carry a caseload? Or what does their paid time off look like? So as you're getting those questions, write them down and bring those questions with you, because the time between you accept a position and orientation can be quite lengthy due to the fact that you may need to pass a background, have a drug screen, a physical. There just may be many things that are gonna come up before they schedule you for orientation. And lastly, hopefully in the email that they sent you about orientation, it'll tell you the dress code. I usually stick to business casual, but some orientations may allow you to wear scrubs. So just make sure you're following whatever they say in the email that they send you, or maybe verbal communication you guys had. You just wanna follow that. So those are the basic tips. That's why I feel like not only can you use those tips for hospice, but if you're going to any orientation, I think these are all good tips and tricks to have. So just as a side note, because we're talking about hospice orientation, when you get to your first day, it may be a lot of HR paperwork and going over policies and procedures. But make sure that that orientation is doing you justice. A one-day orientation is not sufficient, no matter how long you've been a nurse, because you need to learn that company's policy and procedure. You don't want to violate their policies and procedures. And especially if you're a new nurse or just a new nurse to this specialty, you're gonna have so many questions because hospice is its own specialty. So if you are getting a one-day orientation, I would definitely ask for longer, ask more questions. If you are getting any resistance, that may be a company you don't wanna work for. Because remember, your number one priority is the patients and the patient's safety and your nursing license. You worked very hard to get that, and you don't want anything to compromise that. So I always get questions of, how long should orientation be? Well, I think that really depends on your level of expertise. Have you worked in this field before? What is your past knowledge? I think that's gonna help a lot. But I would say that you should not go out on your own until you're comfortable. I don't care if you only get to shadow 6 visits. If you get to the 6th visit and you do not feel comfortable, you do not feel ready, you feel like you didn't get enough exposure, you need to advocate for yourself and for the patient's safety and let them know that you need more training. What do you need more training on? So then you gotta ask yourself, what do I need more training on? Where do I feel like I'm lacking? And let them know, and maybe they can focus on that for the next couple weeks. But I would say that orientation should last as long as you feel comfortable. There has been a company where I literally had a one-day orientation. I shadowed probably 10 visits, and then it was like, you're on your own. And so that had me questioning like, oh, no. I have questions about X, Y, and Z. So I had a whole list of questions. I met with my supervisor, I had all those answered, and I got more visits in with him, with me doing it on my own. And that definitely helped me get prepared. But you have to advocate for yourself. And like I said, if the company doesn't want to do it, I would say move on, because that is not safe for you or the patients. Just know also that CMS has requirements for training staff that are gonna be working in hospice. So there should be a minimum that all these hospice agencies are training their staff. So if you're interested in that list, let me know, but there should be some basics. You definitely wanna go over what their policy and procedure is. You wanna go over skills checkoff. They should be testing you on your competency. They should see you do visits. You should be able to sit with every discipline to see what does everyone in the team do, because that helps you get a bigger picture of what is happening and what services you can offer the patient. You also wanna review the paperwork in its entirety, or if they have an electronic medical record, you wanna be able to be trained by the company that developed this software, as well as following a nurse or your administrator who works in this daily, because that's really gonna help you understand how to chart. You may be really good at physical assessment and doing hands-on patient care, doing G-tube or trach changes, right? That is all great, but we always have to make sure that we document it, right? Because if you didn't chart it, you didn't do it. So that's why it's really important to make sure you get a thorough orientation. And as another note, you're never gonna know everything in nursing, right? I mean, you're gonna come into situations that you've never handled before. And that's why I'm gonna link my video right up here, because I did talk about how important it is to reach out to your hospice team, because you may not have seen this situation and you just need to be educated on it. And when you've identified that there is a skill or a policy or procedure that you've run into that you don't know, educate yourself. We're always educating ourselves as nurses, right? That's why we have continuing education that we have to do, because the medical world is always changing. There's always updates and advancements. And so go home and look up peer-reviewed sources, right? We know when we were in nursing school, we had to look up reputable evidence-based resources. See if you can go on YouTube and see if someone has maybe performed that skill, or they've done a patient assessment or answered certain questions. So always do your research, reach out to your team. They should be able to push you in the right direction so you can be prepared. I really hope every company really wants their nurses to be supported and prepared, but I know that always doesn't happen. I've run into companies like that, and I hear so many of my friends running into issues like that. So I know it's not a perfect world out there. Well, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see any other videos, put them down in the comments and I'll be sure to make more videos for you. I hope you all have a fabulous day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye everyone.